Live है YouTube. Okay, good. Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. So today we are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis dated 31st of December 2021. So let us quickly look into the important topics that we are going to cover today. So we are going to look into these topics one by one. The first topic is Odisha radio tax rescued Indian pangolin. Okay. So Indian pangolin and Chinese pangolins are the species of pangolins that are found in India. And so recently Odisha, Odisha has done the radio tagging. Okay, so we will understand about what do we mean by radio tagging and what is the importance of radio tagging. Along with this, we are also going to understand about the IUCN status of pangolin. We are going to learn about what is the threat that these pangolins faced. Okay, and apart from this, we are going to look into the second topic that talks about killing the license. Okay, this topic is with reference to the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act 2010 that was amended in the year of 2020. So under this particular arrangement, all the NGOs that want to receive foreign contributions or funding from abroad, they have to be registered under Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Okay, and they have to meet certain standards. So not meeting the accounting standards may lead to the non-renewal of licenses for these NGOs. So this topic is with reference to that that topic. Then the third topic that we are going to understand about is bank must pay back customers their money on demand, says the Supreme Court of India. Okay. So the Chief Justice of India along with other judges have given a judgment, and in that judgment the Chief Justice of India has cited that there is a there is a creditor-debtor relationship between the customers of a bank and the bankers. Okay. So we will understand more about this particular article when we look into this one. Then the fourth topic that we are going to understand is about unified license to cover voice, mail, audio, text. Okay, so we will understand about this particular new regulation that was taken by the Department of Telecommunication under the recommendation of the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. Okay, so we will look into these things, and apart from this we are going to talk about these regulatory bodies, okay, like Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, TRAI. Okay, and after then the next topic will be on the algorithms that fuel the over the top platforms. Okay, so we are going to talk about the new algorithm, and we are going to learn about the over the top platforms. We are going to understand how these algorithms plays role, and like what is the concern among the artists and the filmmakers when it comes to the new algorithms. So with this, now let us start the discussion for the day. So this topic says Odisha radio tax rescued Indian pangolin. It is the state's first attempt to standardize rehabilitation protocol for the animal. Okay, so don't go into this thing today, like I did not look into that part. Okay, so when it comes to the pangolin, okay, so pangolins are these animals. You can see over here, this is the photograph of a Indian pangolin. This is how the Indian pangolin looks like. And apart from this, there are 8 variants, okay, 8 species under the 8 subspecies of pangolins. Okay, in India we find 2 species of such pangolin. One is known as Indian pangolin, other is known as Chinese pangolin. Okay, so Chinese pangolin is also found in some parts of India, like northeastern India and Himalayan regions. So when we talk about the Indian pangolin, okay, so Indian pangolin has the scientific name which is Menis crassicordata. Okay, this is the scientific name of Indian pangolin. Okay, so first of all we will understand about this particular article, then we will look into the importance of this particular animal, okay, pangolin. So if we talk about the IUCN Red List, okay, this International Union for Conservation of Nature, this is like one of the leading international organizations that looks forward for conserving the species of various flora and fauna. So flora means plants, and fauna means animals. Okay, so like this is one of the fauna species. So according to the threat that these species face, the International Union for Conservation of Nature gives them some certain kind of category. They are enlisted in certain kind of category in the red list. It maintains a red list. Red list is about the level of threat that these species face. So if we talk about the pangolin, this Indian pangolin, under the IUCN Red List, the Indian pangolin is listed under endangered category. Okay, it is listed under endangered category. And if we talk about the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, okay, see, Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 is an act that was enacted by the government of India, okay, by the Parliament of India. So this particular act was enacted for conserving various species of plants and animals, okay, for the protection of the wildlife. So under the Wildlife Protection Act, that is an Indian act, this Indian pangolin and as well as the Chinese pangolin has been listed under Schedule 1, Part 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act. Okay, Schedule 1 and Part 1 is about giving the highest protection that is possible to certain species. Okay, whenever we put some species under Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act or some species under Part 1 and Schedule 1, so like we give the highest kind of conservation status. We give we take lot of measures to make it sure that these animals, like these animals are rescued, they are rehabilitated, they are given proper protection measures so that like their species can thrive. Okay, so this is the thing. So we have understood that Indian pangolin is listed under endangered category of IUCN, but the Chinese pangolin is listed under critically endangered category. Okay, Chinese pangolin critically endangered category, Indian pangolin endangered category. Then what are the threats that these pangolins face? Okay, threats means threat to their habitat, threat to their livelihood. Okay, one of the prominent threat is hunting and poaching. Okay, when we talk about hunting and poaching, these pangolins are medicinally very, what we say, like very effective. I mean, like they certain parts of their body are used for medicinal purposes. For that matter, hunting happens, okay, poaching also happens, and there are people who eat meat of pangolins also. Okay, so for consumption purpose and for medicinal purpose, there is huge number of hunting and poaching. Apart from this, the pangolins also face habitat threat. Because of loss of habitat, they are sometimes found roaming on the streets. Okay, so this is a threat to their livelihood. I mean, like they are not given proper habitat because of encroachment by the human population in the territory of the animals. Okay, so these are the things. Okay, habitat destruction, poaching and hunting are the threat that they are facing. So now let us talk about this particular editorial. Okay, so the Odisha Forest Environment and Environment Department has completed the first ever radio tagging of the Indian pangolin in an attempt to standardize the rehabilitation protocol for the animal. Okay, so like in this article we will talk about a particular zoo, okay, a particular area which is located in Odisha, and in this particular zoo they have they have conserved, okay, in situ various animals. In situ means whenever you are conserving certain animals within a certain defined laboratory or territory. Let's consider in a zoo which is man-made. I mean, like it is not a natural habitat of the animal, but like we are protecting those animals inside the zoo. This is known as in situ conservation. When we go for in situ conservation, we go for in situ conservation whenever we think that certain species is under grave threat, they are under huge threat for survival. So like to protect and safeguard certain species, so we take them in situ inside zoo in case of animals, in the botanical gardens in case of flowers, plants and other species. Okay, so Odisha Forest and Environment Department had kept pangolin in situ in the zoo to conserve it, but like when it was found that this particular species of pangolin is healthy enough to be to be left, or like to be left in the forest. Okay, so they have decided, like along with leaving this particular species in the forest, they will also radio tag. What do we mean by radio tagging? Means like like binding certain kind of electronic gadget in their body somewhere, where I mean like it will be there and it will help us to locate this particular animal later on. Okay, so this is for locating the animal. It is like geolocation. So if we bind something, some I mean like some GPS related thing in the body of an animal, then wherever it moves, we will be able to understand like or like in what territories it is going. It will help us to understand the areas or their habitat fragmentation, the habitat where they reside, and at the same time it will help us to understand like what where are they going, why are they going, what they eat, and all other things we'll be able to understand. So name of the zoological park, okay, is known as Nandankanan Wildlife Sanctuary. Okay, so in the Nandankanan Wildlife Sanctuary, they have freed this particular animal. So the forest department said a male pangolin which was rescued by Parakkalamudi Forest Division last month was radio tagged and released in Nandankanan Wildlife Sanctuary. Okay, so in this particular radio tagging, they have used Yagi antenna and receiver. Okay, so this will help them to locate this species wherever they are moving. So along with this, we will also look where is Nandankanan Wildlife Sanctuary located. Okay, so I have cropped this particular image from WWF website. WWF stands for World Wildlife Fund for Nature. Okay, so I have cropped this particular image from there. So it says like this is Indian pangolin. This is the image of Indian pangolin, and its name is Manis crassacecaudata. Okay, Manis crassacecaudata. Then so if we talk about the length of the Indian pangolin, it is about 60 to 70 centimeter from head and body. Okay, from head and body. So this is the thing. What is the weight of pangolin? It ranges from 9 to 18 kgs. Okay, so its population is not assessed yet, and it is listed under Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act 1972 and endangered on the IUCN and Red List. Okay, so this is the image, right? This is the image. I think like it will not be visible to people who are online now, but like later on, okay, later on when you look into this thing, like through the PPT that I share, in that PPT you can zoom and you can see like where are these species located. Let me try to zoom. Yeah. You see, this is Odisha. This is Odisha, and this is the location of Nandankanan Zoological Park or Nandankanan Wildlife Sanctuary. So this particular image will give you location of all the wildlife sanctuaries and zoos that are located in India, the big ones. Okay, so it is there. It will help you to understand where are some of the zoos located. So with this, now let us move to the next part of the same discussion. Okay, So this particular species was kept under quarantine for about a month. After keeping it under quarantine, so they have released it in the Nandankanan Wildlife Sanctuary. Okay, so the animal was screened for parasites and diseases during a month-long quarantine at the Nandankanan Zoological Park, which is the only conservation breeding center for Indian pangolins. See, like I'm using the words interchangeably, like zoological park, wildlife sanctuary and all. But like if we talk about in detail, there are minute differences between zoological park, wildlife sanctuary and national park. Okay, it depends on the conservation status given. It depends on the kind of species that are being protected over there. So like there are certain differences between them. But the thing is, main idea behind them is for the protection and conservation of species of plants and animals. Okay, so there are certain regulatory measures also that is taken care of by the Ministry of Environment and Forest. Okay, so this is the thing, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Okay, so this is the thing. The center, this particular center, if we talk about Nandankanan Zoological Park, it was established in 2009 to standardize the protocol for housing and husbandry of the endangered species. Okay, so if we talk about Indian like state of Odisha, this was the second state in India that have done geotagging or tagging, radio collar tagging of pangolin species. Before this, Madhya Pradesh has done it, okay, in the month of February. And like for pangolin, like we have World Pangolin Day also. World Pangolin Day is celebrated every year on 3rd of Saturday of February month. Okay, 3rd of Saturday February month we celebrate World Pangolin Day. Okay, so this is the thing. So first it was done by the state of Madhya Pradesh. So Odisha is the second state in the country to release a radio tagged Indian pangolin into the wild. Okay, so this is the thing. After then, let us move to the next discussion. I have already told here that like there are 8 species of pangolin and 2 of these species are found in India, Indian pangolin and Chinese pangolin. Indian pangolin has the IUCN status of endangered, then Chinese pangolin is under critically endangered category under IUCN red list. Okay, now let us talk about the next topic. Okay, this says killing the license. Okay, the government must give a more transparent account of its actions against NGOs. Okay, so recently we have talked about that there is an NGO which was started by Mother Teresa. Okay, so Missionaries of Charity. Okay, MOC. So Missionaries of Charity was an organization, was an NGO that was set up by Mother Teresa. She is a Nobel laureate. Okay, so that NGO was recently not granted the renewal by the Ministry of Home Affairs, citing certain accounting standards, that like this NGO did not follow certain accounting standards. But like this was not only the case, there have been multiple instances where thousands of such NGOs have not been renewed. And this article talks about the critical viewpoint of the author. The author criticizes the move of the government. The author also puts forward like why the government is doing so. Okay, so the author criticizes the move of the government. The author says that like before this, I mean like in this case, when we talk about this non-renewal of license of Missionaries of Charity and other NGOs under the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Okay, what happens, I have already discussed that those NGOs, those organizations that want to receive foreign funding, they have to be registered under Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, which is administered by the Ministry of Home Affairs. Okay, so it is looked after by the Ministry of Home Affairs. So under Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, the NGOs receive foreign funding, as well as the political parties also receive foreign funding under the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act itself. Okay, here In this case, the government has not renewed the license of many NGOs because they did not meet the accounting standards as per the guidelines of the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act of 2010. This act was amended in the year of 2020, okay, and after that many NGOs have not been granted. But like this was not the only measure that was taken by the government. Earlier there have been multiple instances, since the this government came into power, and in those instances many thousands and thousands of NGOs have not been given renewal, okay, and among those NGOs include one of the prominent NGOs of the world, okay. We will talk about name of those prominent NGOs that have not been granted the renewal. So let us see like what this article talks about, okay. So it talks about the Missionaries of Charity, the NGO that was started by Mother Teresa. Then it talks about the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act 2010 that was amended in the year of 2020, okay. So the thing is, here the author is saying that government has like single-handedly not renewed the license of these NGOs, citing that there are accounting irregularities, but the author is not convinced by the viewpoint of the government, okay. Author says that NGOs the author says that many of the government officials say that the NGOs have to prove not only the source of funding and their usage of fund is appropriate, but also establish that their work does not qualify as harmful to public interest or national security. And author says these are ambiguous terms that are left to Ministry of Home Affairs officials to define, okay. So these are ambiguous terms, these are not clearly defined, like what do we mean by public interest, what do we mean by national security, okay, in this case. So author is saying that these NGOs have to prove, have to disclose the source from where they are receiving fund. They also have to disclose for which purpose they are using these funds, and also they have to make it sure that these funds are not used against public interest and against the national security of India. Now, contrary to the government's defense that is only following accounting and audit procedures, it seems clear, okay. Now the author is saying, although the government says they are only following the accounting procedures, but author is not convinced. The author says that it is clear that the organizations that have particularly faced the Modi government's ire are those that work in specific sensitive areas, okay. So those NGOs that work in specific sensitive areas, they are being targeted, okay. And like pollution and climate change issues, human rights issues, child labor and human slavery, health and religious NGOs, particularly the Christian and Islamic charities, okay. So author is saying there are certain NGOs that are working in certain key areas like health, okay, human rights, climate change, pollution, human slavery, and religious NGOs including the like Christian and Islamic charity NGOs, etc. So they are facing huge troubles. The author is also pointing out that prominent names among nearly 20,000 NGOs to have lost foreign funding license since 2014 include. The author is saying that there are multiple prominent NGOs that have lost the foreign funding license because the government did not renew it, and those important NGOs are Amnesty International, okay, Amnesty International, then Greenpeace India, People's Watch, European Climate Foundation, Compassion International, and the Gates Foundation that backs the Public Health Foundation of India, okay. Gates means Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, okay. So if the government has ample evidence to prove that Indians are better off without the work of these internationally renowned organizations, then it has yet to show it, Okay, the author is saying like government has not shown that like Indian people have, you know, like Indians are better off, like they don't need any help of these NGOs. The author is saying that like, you know, government should prove it that like Indian people do not need help of these NGOs. So it is time that the government gives a more transparent account of its actions against NGOs, which at present appear to mirror those in China and Russia, which have used their NGO laws to shut down dissent and criticism. The author is saying that government of India is, you know, following the lines of, you know, of China and Russia that have, you know, used their laws to, I mean, shut down the NGOs and shut down the criticism. The actions in India over foreign land hand concern seems more hypocritical. Okay, so this is the thing. So this particular article talks about, you know, the point of criticism related to non-renewal of licenses of these NGOs. With this, now let us move to the next topic. Now it says banks must pay back customers their money on demand, says the Supreme Court of India. Relationship with customers is that of debtor creditor. Okay, here what has happened, like, you know, there was a government official. That government official was working in a bank. Okay, means like there was a you know, government bank in which a high level official was involved in you know, certain cases of corruption. Okay, and investigation has happened, and after investigation it was found that that particular person has actually, you know, done certain kind of, I mean, corruption related activities, and he was given the announcement of 5 years of rigorous imprisonment. Okay, so that case was, you know, filed in a, you know, in a high court. So it was filed in Andhra Pradesh High Court. Okay, but later on the same case came to the Supreme Court of India, and Supreme Court, while pronouncing the verdict, has made it clear that the relationship between the bank and the customers are that of, you know, like debtor creditor relationship. It means the customer are the creditors, they are giving their money or keeping their money in the banks, and so whenever the customer demands, the bank should be willing to give, you know, money back to the customer at the same time. So the bank should give the back money to the customer as and when the customer demands. Okay, so the Chief Justice of India made it clear that banks are not working on trust. Okay, they are not working on trust, you know, for the customers. They are actually have, you know, debtor creditor relationship. This is the only thing, you know, that in this particular verdict it was said, and the bench was headed by the Chief Justice of India N.V. Ramana, Justice Surya Kant and Justice Hima Kohli. Okay, so they have pointed out these things, and they say like there is a contractual relationship between the customer and the bank. Okay, contractual relationship, and you know, it says that the money that a customer deposits in a bank is not held by the letter on trust for him. Okay, so the bank, the money that the customer holds with the bank, it is not held by the bank as a trustee. Okay, it is held as I mean, like, you know, in a contractual obligation. It becomes a part of the banker's funds who is under a contractual obligation to pay the sum deposited by the customer to him on demand with the agreed rate of interest. Such a relationship between the customer and the bank is one of the creditor and debtor. So the you know, the bench has clarified that customer is the creditor for a bank and bank is a debtor. So whenever the creditor demands the money, the bank has to give that money back to the customer. Okay, so this was the only thing, and like, you know, some CBI inquiry was was there in this particular case, but like much detail about that case is not available, and it is also not necessary for us to go and look into those things. So with this, now let us take another topic. This is also a very important topic for today. Okay, this topic talks about the TRAI, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, as a regulatory body in India. Then we will also learn about the Department of Telecommunication, and we will talk about that, like earlier for certain purposes they used to give like separate licenses. Okay, for this purpose there was a license, for that purpose there was a license, for that purpose there was another license. But now recently they have moved that, like for certain purposes there will be a single unified license. Okay, you understood? Means earlier there were different licenses for certain purposes. Now they have made a single unified license that will follow all of it. Okay, so what has happened, we will understand about this article. It says unified license to cover voice, mail, audio, text. Okay, no new standalone licenses, says Department of Telecommunication. Okay, so the Department of Telecommunication on Thursday said that the licensing framework for audio conferencing, audio text and voicemail services would be part of unified license. Okay, for these three purposes, one of the purposes audio conferencing, audio text and voicemail. Okay, for these three things there will be a unified single licensing mechanism. It was said by the Department of Telecommunication. Okay, earlier they used to give standalone licenses for services such as audio text and voicemail services. Okay, for audio text and voicemail services there used to be separate licenses, but now for not only these two but for three things there will be a single unified license. Is one of the thing is audio conferencing, then audio text and then voicemail services. Okay, so they have added a new chapter. Okay, they have added a new chapter in the manual that talks about licensing mechanism related to these services. So this was done under the recommendation of the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. Okay, after examining the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India's recommendations on licensing framework for audio conferencing, audio text, voicemail services, Department of Telecom has decided to make this license a part of the unified license by adding a new chapter for this authorization. Okay, so this is the thing. Okay, so this is a simple topic. So here it is important for us to understand what is the role of telecom, the TRAI, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. What role does TRAI play, right? Which are the sectors that TRAI regulates? So you should visit the website of TRAI to learn about, like how they work, what is their mandate, right? What are their roles and responsibilities and all. Okay, so you have to understand about such regulatory bodies, because like we have witnessed that in previous years the UPSC has asked questions from such regulatory bodies in the prelims exam. Okay, so with this, now let us move to the next topic. And here one more important thing is there, that citing the key changes as per the revised policy, it said that the license fee for the new license and existing licenses will be 8% of the adjusted gross revenue. Okay, so under this particular guideline, whenever someone wants to renew the license, okay, so they will be given the unified license, not the separate license. For new people also they will be given a unified license, and for these things the licensing fee will be 8% of the adjusted gross revenue. Okay, adjusted gross revenue. This particular terminology has been in news earlier also, because of the Vodafone case and because of certain other cases. Okay, so they have applied adjusted gross revenue for calculation of retrospective taxation. Okay, like what is progressive taxation and what is retrospective taxation. Retrospective taxation means today they are framing a law and they are applying this particular law to a past date. Okay, so that they can they can calculate the amount from that past date to charge it. generally it is done in revenue cases. I mean, like the retrospective taxation, okay, means like it is related to money matters. Whenever the government has to apply certain taxation, it can make the law to be, you know, prospective. Prospective means like after the law is made, it will be applied in future dates, okay. But when we talk about retrospective taxation, what happens? Today law is made and they will make it applicable for, you know, from a previous date. I mean, let's consider it is 31st of December 2021. If we talk about a retrospective law, so like, you know, they can make a law today and they can make it applicable from 2005. And since then, the companies will be made to pay taxes, okay. Means like the gross adjusted revenue, means like adjusted gross revenue, they will have to make the entire payment. If we talk about prospective, you know, legislation or prospective taxation, so today the law is made and it will be made applicable in a future date. For example, 1st of January. From 1st of, the law is made today, they said like from 1st of January 2022, it will be applicable, okay. So that's how it happens. You should understand about progressive, like prospective taxation and retrospective taxation. Then you need to understand what is adjusted gross revenue. You should also learn about, you know, certain regulatory bodies like Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, the Securities and Exchange Board of India, and such other regulatory bodies, okay. So with this, now let us move to the next part of the discussion. Okay. So this topic is again a very important topic. Here we will talk about the over the top platforms, okay, and we will understand about the new algorithm. Apart from this, we will also understand about like what are new algorithms and what are the key concerns or, you know, about these new algorithm among the theater artists and among the, you know, people who are involved in this particular sector, okay. So let us look into this topic. It says the algorithms that fuel over the top over the top platforms. As the holiday season sees us bringing in more content on OTT, we break down how omnipresent algorithm keep us watching more, okay. So here this article, you know, goes into little detail to discuss like after we watch a particular serial or a web series, later on we tend to watch similar web series again and again. So how does it happen, okay. So we will go little deeper into it, okay. So let us first read the gist over here, okay. Over the top platforms, algorithm comprise actions and calculations to automate a search or offer recommendations. These algorithms process the expensive libraries of streaming services by weaving through them to find the right one. They exist to cut down on that exhaustive time to keep the consumer engaged with brand new content, okay. So here they have talked about what are algorithms, okay. Algorithms are computer programs, okay. They are programmed in certain way that, like, you know, like for whatever genre, like, you know, so you might have read a movie, for example, there are fiction, you know, there are scientific fiction, then at the same time there are thriller movies, then like we have, you know, certain movies, for example, I mean fiction, thriller, then like we have, I mean realistic movie like related to you know, politics and all. At the same time we have, I mean we have different genres of movie, right, or like different genres of series that we watch. So on the basis of the genre, on the basis of the author, or on the basis of the director, for example, if you watch a web series, so like, you know, it will help the system to recognize like which director's movie you have seen, to which genre this particular movie belongs, okay, and other such parameters. So based on that, it will automatically fetch, you know, certain other contents for you that will be of similar nature, so that like you don't have to invest more time in searching those things, okay. So this is the work of algorithm. Algorithm are computer programs, okay, that are designed. So here in this article they talk about what are new algorithm. So they said like new algorithm are not different from the algorithm that were in existence in 1970s. Okay, so in 1970s we used to have algorithm and they used to drive the big computer screens. Okay, the big screen computer models. So those algorithm and these algorithm are essentially of the similar nature. Okay, but like with the increase in the number of services, these algorithms, the new algorithm have been refined, they have been modified to certain extent, but they are the same, they are the similar computer programs. Okay, so this is the thing. So now the big tech and the content explosion of 2010s have paved the way for the new algorithm. Okay, so this is the thing. And so technically in the space of OTT, algorithm comprise of actions and calculations to automate a search or offer recommendations. Okay, so companies like Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Disney plus Hotstar, Sony Live all leverage the three kinds of algorithms. Okay, so these companies use three kinds of algorithms. What are those three kinds of algorithms? We will talk about. One of the algorithm is content based. Okay, like what kind of content do you watch regularly? So like they are based on content. Then knowledge based. Okay, and collaborative filtering that tend to work simultaneously but in different ways that at a given time. Okay, one is known as content based, second is knowledge based, third is collaborative filtering. Okay, so they use three kind of algorithm that work at the same time but they work differently in different platforms. Okay, so related to these algorithms there was an author, okay, author and filmmaker. Okay, so Academy Award winning filmmaker, his name is Martin Scorsese. Okay, Martin Scorsese has wrote an essay. Okay, he has a second maestro, okay, in Harper magazines this year, and in that essay he has talked about like why these algorithms are counterproductive to the filmmaking industry and for the viewers at large. Okay, today you may be watching something, for example if you open YouTube, right, you watch anything related to a political news. Tomorrow or today itself in the evening or sometimes later, you will be shown recommendations that are of the same nature. I mean like accidentally you watched a video but like all other videos will be recommended of the same nature. If you watch that again, so like same nature video will be there in your this listing. So what has happened? So it leads to, I mean like uniformity of the thought process, means like human mind is always looking for different ideas, is looking for different genres or is willing to see different things, but like these algorithms will make you watch the similar thing again and again. Okay, this is the thing. Like if you, so I have given you example related to this. So this person Martin Scorsese says that there is an ugly side to this new algorithm power. Okay, we like, are we using the technology or the technology is using us? Okay, so here the Mr. Martin says like, are we using the technology or technology is using us? Okay, this is the thing. He acknowledges the positive impact of over the top platforms, but actually he points out, okay, he also points out the concerns with the inevitable feedback dynamics. Okay, so if you watch one movie today, the similar nature movie will be shown to you long time to come, unless you search for something else and you watch that thing. Okay, so this is the thing. So if further viewing is suggested by algorithm based on what you have already seen, and the suggestions are based only on subject matter or genre, then what does that do with the art of cinema? Okay, so like every producer or every actor wants to showcase their talent, showcase their creativity in certain other dimensions, in certain other areas, and like users also tend to watch them. But what happens, this creates a sense of uniformity. So a person who watches a particular genre will keep on watching the same genre again and again. Okay, this is the thing. So here in this article they also talk about a more human approach. What do we mean by more human approach? There has been a platform which is known as HBO Max. Okay, HBO Max is still not present in India, but like HBO Max has made it sure that along with the algorithm they also take the input of human brain, right? So some OTT predicted this conundrum and have opted for a more human approach while still adding to their business models. Like HBO Max, while not available in India, has another remarkable hybrid algorithm setup. To stay on brand with its original traditional television brand, the OTT works with actors and filmmakers such as this Gal Gadot or director Adam Wingard to curate watch list. Okay, so like this HBO Max, they curate watch list by like taking into account the directors and other people who are actually making those movies and all. So these people will give you more insights into these things. So algorithms are here to stay, and here and and they are everywhere. So the author is saying that algorithm will stay and like they will refine more, but like we need to understand about human approach as well. The human input should also be made. Okay, so this was just an insight into this particular topic. Okay, so with this, now let us move to the last part of the discussion, which is practice prelims questions. Okay, so we will talk about practice prelims questions. This question says, with reference to Indus River system, okay, with reference to Indus River system, of the following 4 rivers, 3 of them pour into one of them which joins the Indus direct. Among the following, which one is such rivers? Okay, here they are saying, let's consider we have an Indus River system. In the Indus River system, we have one big river, and in that big river 2 other rivers are giving the thing. So I mean this is Indus, the big river, and here they are saying like we have this river 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, these 4 rivers are going and giving water, or like they are joining the Indus River system. But one of them is a big river where 3 more rivers are actually contributing. So they are asking the name of this river. Okay, and they have named all these 4 rivers. 1, 2, 3, 4. They have named all these 4 rivers. Like we have Chenab, Jhelum, Ravi, and Satluj. Okay, a person who has gone through the mapping, means like who has read it clearly, who knows like what is the name of this river, what is the name of this river, and this river, he will be able to answer this question. Otherwise it will seem confusing. Although you may be able to understand what does the question ask, but like to answer this question it needs photographic memory. Means like if you have gone through it, you will be answer. Okay, this is Satluj river. Okay, this is Satluj river. Option is D. And you can see the answer over here. Okay, this is, if you read the question again, then if you read this answer, okay, this is the thing. This is Indus River system. This is Satluj River system. This is one of the biggest river over here. This is actually coming like that. Okay, so we have Jhelum, Chenab, okay, Ravi, Bias, Ravi, but like they are asking about this particular thing. I mean Satluj River. So this Bias River or Beas River actually joins the Satluj River. So till then it is Satluj only. But Ravi, Chenab, and Jhelum, they are like contributing their water. Okay. To Satluj, and Satluj is actually joining the Indus River system. So correct answer for this question is option D. Okay. So that's all that we had to discuss for the day. Thank you so much everyone for attending the session. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you.